The courtroom fell into stunned silence. Cameras flashed. Reporters scrambled. And Bill Cosby, once hailed as America's dad, now disgraced and standing before a judge, heard the words that would haunt him for the rest of his life: life in prison. In that moment, the man who once had the world at his feet gave a reaction nobody saw coming. Gasps echoed. Lawyers froze. Even the bailiffs didn't know how to respond. This wasn't just another sentencing. This was a once untouchable figure, facing the harshest reality imaginable. But what Cosby did next sent shockwaves far beyond the courtroom. His reaction wasn't a quiet breakdown. It wasn't dignified silence. It was raw, shocking, and caught entirely on camera. Whispers turned to shouts, shouts turned to chaos, and by the end of the day, the footage had gone viral across every platform. Millions of people hit play, jaws dropping as they watched the man who once embodied family values spiral into one of the most dramatic moments in courtroom history. And that's just the beginning. Because insiders claim his outburst wasn't random, it was calculated. Hidden messages, pointed words. Even cryptic looks toward his former ally suggested Cosby knows secrets that could drag others down with him. And the question everyone is asking, was this reaction the end of Bill Cosby, or the start of an even bigger storm? The air inside the courtroom was so thick with tension that you could almost hear hearts pounding louder than the gavel. Everyone knew this was it, the final verdict. The end of years of trials, hearings, retrials, and endless media coverage. Bill Cosby, once a man who had the world in his hands, who shaped television history, who sat atop the entertainment world as America's dad, was about to learn his fate. But nobody expected the judge's words to echo so violently. When the sentence was delivered, life in prison, it was as if time froze. Reporters in the gallery stopped typing. Family members gasped. His legal team looked like the ground had been ripped out from under them. For years, the speculation had been rampant. Would he walk away with a light sentence? Would his age shield him? Would wealth and influence bend the system in his favor again? But in that moment, the myth of untouchability shattered. The gavel came down, and the legend of Bill Cosby collapsed in an instant. And then came the reaction. Not the quiet, humbled acceptance some thought they might see. Not the stoic silence of a man resigned to fate. What happened next left jaws on the floor. Witnesses described Cosby first, shaking his head violently, muttering under his breath, before suddenly raising his voice loud enough to shake the courtroom. He wasn't begging for mercy, wasn't crying tears of regret. He was shouting, defiant, bitter, almost mocking. "You think this is justice?" he roared, his voice cracking, with a strange mix of fury and desperation. Gasps filled the room. Some even described it as chilling, like watching a mask finally fall away. I was never the only one. You hear me? Never the only one. The words echoed like thunder, sending reporters scrambling to jot every syllable. Those seconds, what should have been the final chapter, turned into the opening of a new scandal. Because those words weren't just about him. They were about others. They were aimed, according to insiders, at people in power. People who, if he's to be believed, are still walking free. The security team rushed forward, trying to contain the outburst, but it was too late. Cameras inside and outside the courtroom were already rolling, and within minutes, the footage was plastered all over Twitter, TikTok. Clips racked up millions of views before the end of the day. Bill Cosby's furious glare, his raised voice, the tremble in his words, it all went viral. Memes spread, debates erupted, and hashtags like #CosbyOutburst and #CourtroomChaos trended worldwide. But while fans argued over whether it was anger, regret, or an attempt at defiance, others pointed out something darker. His words, "I was never the only one. What did that mean? Who was he pointing the finger at? And why did his gaze reportedly lock in on certain faces in the gallery as he spoke? Some claimed he glanced toward entertainment executives. Others swore he looked directly at members of his own inner circle. And here's where the bombshell drops. Because according to someone inside the courthouse that day, Cosby wasn't just lashing out blindly, he was sending a message. This insider claims that in the weeks leading up to sentencing, Cosby had become obsessed with what he called unfinished business. He'd allegedly told visitors and confidants that if he went down, others were coming with him. He supposedly had notes, names, and stories ready to release. So was this courtroom reaction just the rage of a disgraced man, or the first shot in a scorched earth campaign to take down everyone he believes wronged him? The press conference after sentencing only fueled the fire. Cosby's lawyers, visibly shaken, tried to play it off, saying he was emotional, frustrated, and struggling to process the weight of the sentence. But the reporters weren't buying it. Every question hurled at them circled back to the same issue. What did he mean when he shouted, "I was never the only one"? His legal team refused to elaborate. But the damage was done. Outside the courthouse, the atmosphere was electric. Protesters and supporters clashed, shouting over each other while holding up signs. Some were chanting for justice, others defending Cosby as a victim of a system determined to erase him. And then came the chance repeating his words back, almost like a rallying cry, "Never the only one. Never the only one." It was chilling, chaotic, and disturbing all at once. By the evening, the fallout was unstoppable. Talk shows dissected every frame of the video. Legal analysts speculated whether his words could spark new investigations. And gossip blogs lit up with theories that ranged from Hollywood conspiracies to potential whistleblowing. What if Cosby wasn't bluffing? What if he really had dirt on powerful people waiting to be unleashed? But the biggest twist came hours later when an anonymous Twitter account, one that had never posted before, suddenly appeared, posting cryptic messages that lined up eerily with Cosby's rant. The account shared quotes like, "When the tower falls, others will fall with it, and secrets don't stay buried forever." Screenshots spread like wildfire. Fans connected the dots, convinced this account was linked to Cosby's inner circle. Some even believed it was being run by Cosby himself or his family. Meanwhile, people close to the case claimed that prosecutors had already been warned of outbursts, but never expected something of this scale. One source alleged that behind closed doors, Cosby had threatened to drag everyone into the fire if he received life. He'd supposedly dropped names during conversations with confidants, names of people still celebrated in Hollywood today. The tension in the industry skyrocketed. Actors, producers, even comedians who once worked with Cosby suddenly went quiet on social media. Some locked their accounts. Others issued vague statements condemning toxic behavior without naming names. It felt less like distancing and more like panic, as if they were bracing for whatever might come next. And yet, through all the noise, one thing was clear. Cosby's sentencing wasn't the end of the story. It was the spark of something much darker, something that might pull down others with him. Because as his words rang out, "I was never the only one," it became clear that this wasn't just Bill Cosby's downfall. It was the threat of a reckoning that could rock the entertainment world to its core. And what happened the very next morning only added gasoline to the fire. The morning after Bill Cosby's courtroom explosion, the world woke up to headlines screaming with disbelief. News outlets replayed the footage on a loop. His wide eyes, the furious snarl, the words that detonated like a bomb. I was never the only one. It wasn't just a sentencing anymore. It had become a threat, a prophecy, and possibly the beginning of the biggest Hollywood implosion in decades. But nothing could prepare the public for what happened next. By noon, TMZ broke what they called the first exclusive leak tied to Cosby's alleged unfinished business. It wasn't a random rumor. It was audio. Grainy, muffled, but unmistakably real. A voice said to be Cosby's could be heard speaking to an unidentified man weeks before sentencing. The voice growled, "If I go down, I'm taking names with me. I got tapes. I got letters. They think I'm bluffing, but wait until the truth comes out." The audio clip was less than 30 seconds, but it detonated the internet. TikTok exploded with theories. YouTube channels uploaded frame-by-frame breakdowns of Cosby's outburst and the leaked tape. Twitter threads speculated about who the names could be, and the reactions from celebrities were even more telling. Several high-profile figures who had once shared the stage with Cosby suddenly went dark online. Their silence screamed louder than any denial. But here's the twist. Another insider stepped forward, claiming the leak wasn't even the tip of the iceberg. According to this source, Cosby had been stockpiling receipts for years, detailed journals, recorded calls, even private letters exchanged with Hollywood heavyweights. The insider hinted that at least 3 A-list actors, 2 producers, and 1 media mogul were in his files. He was meticulous, the source revealed. Every dinner, every party, every conversation. He wrote it down, he recorded it. He kept it all. As this rumor spread, panic started to ripple through the entertainment industry. Paparazzi captured images of certain well-known faces leaving their homes in a rush, looking visibly shaken. Lawyers were seen rushing into offices connected to major networks. And gossip blogs began openly speculating about who might be bracing for impact. Meanwhile, the mysterious Twitter account that had posted cryptic warnings after Cosby's sentencing fired off another chilling message. The first stone has been thrown. The avalanche is coming. Thousands retweeted it, convinced this was tied to the audio leak. Some even suggested it could be Cosby's own family feeding information to the public, determined to honor his vow of dragging others into the fire. By the afternoon, the conversation shifted again when a former associate of Cosby gave a bombshell interview on a popular podcast. This associate, who had once toured with Cosby during his peak, claimed that Cosby often bragged about insurance policies. He allegedly said, "These people will never cross me. I got their secrets. I know what they did in those mansions, in those hotels, in those green rooms." According to the associate, Cosby hinted that his files included compromising photos and videos that could destroy careers overnight. That single podcast clip shot straight to #1 on Spotify, and by evening, every news station was running with it. Cosby's insurance files became the new buzzword. But with that buzz came terror. In Hollywood circles, private parties were canceled. Emergency meetings were held, and insiders claimed certain stars were on the phone with crisis PR teams around the clock. Then came the second leak. Late that night, another audio file surfaced, this time on Reddit. It was longer, clearer, and far more disturbing. The alleged Cosby voice was heard mentioning specific names of people still revered today. While most of the recording was bleeped out by moderators, the uncensored fragments were enough to send the industry spiraling. In the clip, he allegedly said, "They all knew. Bleep was there. Bleep covered it up. Don't act like I was the only one. Don't act like they're clean." The fallout was instant. Within hours, Twitter was ablaze with trending hashtags attaching those bleeped names to speculation. Some fans demanded investigations. Others accused the leaks of being fake or manipulated. But the silence from those allegedly named was deafening. Meanwhile, Cosby's legal team scrambled to shut it all down. They issued a late-night statement claiming the audio was fabricated and taken grossly out of context. But their denial only fanned the flames, because the public remembered his courtroom outburst. They remembered his glare. and the leaks lined up perfectly with his chilling warning. I was never the only one. Social media turned into a battlefield. Some users defended Cosby, saying he was exposing a bigger truth. Others slammed him as a manipulator trying to drag others down in his disgrace. But everyone agreed on one thing. The industry was rattled to its core. And then came the reaction from Jim Carrey. Yes, Jim Carrey. In a bizarre twist, the actor posted a cryptic drawing to Instagram, showing a crumbling Hollywood sign with shadowy figures running from the wreckage. His caption read, "When one falls, many will follow. Truth doesn't stay buried forever." The post garnered millions of likes in hours and was instantly tied to Cosby's leaks. Fans went wild. Was Carrey confirming something? Was he subtly supporting Cosby's claims? Or was it just coincidence? More celebrities began weighing in. List names like Oprah, Tyler Perry, and Whoopi Goldberg all faced online backlash, as users dredged up old photos of them alongside Cosby, demanding answers. Hashtags like #WhoKnew and #CosbyFiles dominated trending lists. The pressure was suffocating. But the most chilling development came when a well-known Hollywood whistleblower, who had previously exposed scandals in the music industry, claimed he'd seen some of Cosby's alleged files firsthand. In an explosive livestream, he said, "If even half of what's in there comes out, it won't just ruin careers. It will burn down empires." His words left viewers frozen, because this wasn't just about Cosby anymore. This was about systemic rot that could implicate the very top of the industry by midnight. The chaos had reached such a fever pitch that law enforcement sources confirmed they were reviewing new evidence. While they refused to confirm specifics, speculation ran wild that Cosby's files might trigger fresh investigations into multiple high-profile figures. But here's where things took an even darker turn. Just as reporters began to dig deeper, a sudden blackout hit several online forums where leaks were being shared. Entire Reddit threads vanished. Twitter accounts posting evidence were mysteriously suspended. Even TikToks with millions of views were suddenly wiped. People began whispering about a cover-up. That powerful forces were scrambling to suppress whatever Cosby might unleash. And then, in the dead of night, the anonymous Twitter account posted one final bone-chilling message. "The files are real, and tomorrow the first name drops." The internet exploded with speculation, waiting for dawn like it was doomsday. Who would be the first name? How deep did this go? And if the leaks were true, how many powerful lives were about to crumble? Because this was no longer just about Bill Cosby's life sentence. This was about a reckoning, threatening to shake Hollywood to its core. The avalanche Cosby had promised was finally rolling. Hollywood's reaction was total panic. Studios released emergency statements denying any involvement. PR firms issued vague denials on behalf of unnamed clients. But the silence from certain stars was deafening. Its entire careers hung in the balance, and fans began demanding boycotts, petitions, and investigations. And just when it seemed like the industry couldn't breathe, the anonymous Twitter account returned. The post was short, brutal, and terrifying. "This is only the beginning. Tomorrow, the recordings drop. The voices you worship won't sound the same." The internet collapsed into hysteria. Recording, plural. Could this mean Cosby had tapes? Actual, undeniable proof. People speculated about who could be caught. Some swore the mogul wasn't even the biggest name on the list. Others whispered that politicians, athletes, even global figures were in the files. Inside the prison, guards reported Cosby was eerily calm. One officer allegedly overheard him humming, grinning, and whispering to himself, "They should have never pushed me. They should have never laughed." The image of him sitting smugly behind bars while the outside world collapsed only made the story more surreal. Meanwhile, news crews outside the mogul's home captured something shocking. A convoy of unmarked vans leaving late at night. Some claimed it was evidence being moved. Others swore it was legal teams scrambling to destroy whatever Cosby had. But conspiracy theorists insisted it was too late. The leaks had already escaped. The files were no longer under one man's. Controlled Hollywood insiders whispered about betrayal, that someone close to Cosby had already distributed copies. That this wasn't just his last card to play, but a ticking time bomb he'd prepared long before sentencing. If that was true, then nothing could stop the fallout. By evening, major networks interrupted programming with breaking news segments. Senators demanded investigations. Industry watchdogs called for independent inquiries. The story had spilled far beyond Hollywood. It was now a global crisis. And then, the wildest twist yet. At midnight, a hacker collective posted a message, claiming they had access to Cosby's files. They threatened to release everything unless the industry stopped hiding behind lawyers and lies. Within hours, the post vanished. The group's account was suspended, but screenshots had already gone viral. Was it real? Or was it another smokescreen? Nobody knew for sure, but fans believed. Because the leaks kept coming. Because the fear was visible. Because the mogul's silence was louder than any denial. By the end of the night, one thing was undeniable. Bill Cosby's courtroom sentence wasn't the end of his story. It was the beginning of Hollywood's nightmare. And the scariest part, the recordings were still coming. What voices would we hear? Which stars would crumble? And how far would Cosby's revenge stretch before the entire industry collapsed? One thing was certain. This wasn't just a scandal. This was an extinction-level event for Hollywood's carefully crafted facade, and the world was only on day 2. And if you thought what you just heard was jaw-dropping, let me be crystal clear. This story is far from over. The leaks aren't stopping, the whispers are only getting louder. And the files Bill Cosby hinted at, they could change everything we thought we knew about Hollywood, the industry, and the people we've idolized for decades. Every single hour, new receipts are surfacing, and trust me, the next round of recordings is going to make what you just saw look tame. So here's the deal. If you don't want to miss the next piece of this puzzle, if you don't want to, wake up tomorrow and find out the entire internet already heard the newest bombshell before you did. Then you need to lock in right now. Hit that like button because it tells us you want the truth to keep coming. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Who do you think Cosby is really about to expose? And most importantly, smash that subscribe button with notifications on, because the second the next leak drops, you'll be the first to know. This isn't just a scandal. This is history unfolding in real time. And if you thought today was explosive, just wait until tomorrow. The recordings are coming, the names are dropping, and the world is about to change forever. Stay tuned because the real chaos hasn't even begun.